A McLean County farm is celebrating its 200th birthday, and the public is invited to the party. That's one of the things you need to know to start your day for Friday, June 21st. I'm Ryan Denham, and this is WGLT's The Leadoff. Now let's lead off with housing. The city of Bloomington expects its city council to give direction by the end of the month on programs to reduce the housing shortage. As WGLT's Charlie Schlenker reports, the timeline for the town of Normal is less aggressive.
City Manager Pam Reese says the town took part in Bloomington's recent housing symposium. She says most of the ideas that emerged deserve review.
Discussions still have to take place in terms of developers. What are their gaps? Why are they unable to get projects done? And how can we, as a public-private partnership, get these projects to the finish line?
She says the town was already vetting some proposals before the symposium, such as interest rate buy-downs and other ways of becoming a part of the developer's financing.
What does the municipality have to do to maybe backstop some of the lending arrangements?
Reese, like Bloomington Mayor Mboka Mwilambwe, is less certain how a property tax assessment freeze would work for school districts, and she points out there may be no single answer to addressing the housing shortage because the community needs all sorts of housing, from helping unhoused people get shelter to workforce housing and even market rate housing.
We've got to figure out, probably development by development, what makes more sense for each.
Reese says lower hanging fruit could be things like the town absorbing the cost of extending infrastructure, such as water and sewer, to a project site. Traditionally, developers have borne that cost. For The Leadoff, I'm Charlie Schlenker.
Here are some other stories we're following in the WGLT newsroom. Illinois GOP Chair Don Tracy has resigned as the head of the Illinois Republican Party. He explained his resignation in a 2-page letter that cited internal power struggles. The Illinois High School Association's girls' state basketball finals are staying at CEFCU Arena. The IHSA, ISU, and local tourism officials announced a 5-year contract extension through 2029. Connect Transit will keep its cooling station up and running through Saturday in downtown's McLean County Health Department parking lot due to the expected extreme heat. You can find more on these stories at WGLT.org. A McLean County farm is celebrating its bicentennial this weekend. Funk Farms in rural Shirley, south of Bloomington, was established back in 1824, before McLean County even existed, and the farm has grown a lot since its early days. Brian Bankert has been the farm's general manager for the last 30 years. He tells WGLT student reporter Colleen Holden that the celebration will showcase the farm's long and storied history.
The farm's history is extremely interesting if you follow along on this day. We hopefully will be able to introduce the public, whether you're young or older, there should be something for everybody. So we're going to have speakers throughout the day that'll be also included with a book panel, and that book gets unveiled on that day. That goes into the funk history and its contributions to agriculture and the community that helps support them. We will also, underneath another tent on the farm, right by our new office, there'll be farm equipment, old and new. So if a person wanted to visualize and walk through history, you should be able to see things represented there that are start to finish what it looked like in 1824 to equipment that you might see today on a farm. I mean, and the great changes that have taken place in 200 years.
You said that there was a pretty rich history of funk farms. I mean, obviously with it like having 200 years of just being in action. Could you talk a little bit about some of that unique history?
The rich history that the farm has under its belt started back in 1824 when Isaac and Cassandra settled in Funk's Grove, and over the course of their lifetime accumulated over 20,000 acres of farmland. This farm that we're having the event on here particularly was put in a trust in 1941 and continues to operate under the same principles and stewardship that you could only have if you truly understand what it takes to maintain this wonderful land that we grow crops and raise cattle. This particular farm is corn, soybeans, and we also have a cow herd all the way, and we finish them all here on the farm. We've got pasture. We also, out of that supply, we have our retail beef store, That's where we source all of the beef for this retail. Planning that went into this, we're trying to incorporate everything that we can that kind of tells each layer.
What are some things in the farm that have kind of stood the test of time?
The family's dedication to its legacy and history. They recognized right away, I feel, when they moved here, that there was something very unique about the soil. It's capable of being so incredibly productive. They recognize the value of that because we're trying to sustain our family and our health, and recognize they had to maintain those principles throughout the generations.
Over the years, farms have had to become more sustainable in order to survive, essentially. But what are some ways that like Funk Farms specifically practices sustainability?
One of the things that we have done over the years to maintain our sustainability is to increase the efficiency and the technology that we use to plant the crop and to harvest the crop and maintain the crop. So GPS technology, when it came in, it became very obvious right away that we would be able to do jobs and we'd consume less fuel. We also adapted practices when it came to the soil that reduced the amount of tillage that we do. So we've adapted cover crops. We've adapted to no-till practices where the soil gets disturbed less and less all the time.
That was Brian Bangert with Funk Farms, speaking with WGLT's student reporter Colleen Holden. The free 200th anniversary celebration is this Saturday. You can find a link to the full schedule of public events at WGLT.org. And before we let you go, Bloomington's biggest Juneteenth celebration is tomorrow, Saturday, from 11 to 4 at Miller Park. There'll be performances, food trucks, vendors, and more. That's it for today. I'm Ryan Denham. The show is produced by Lou Warner. You can subscribe to The Leadoff on the NPR app or wherever you get your podcasts.